You spent hours and hours developing the perfect mix, the perfect EQ'd snare. Everything is beautiful and well balanced. You've slaved over every single emotional and creative decision, and now you've decided to let a brainless, emotionless robot finish the process for you. Why? Mastering is one of the most gate-kept things in audio. I think what happened is that mastering was so mysterious because the people who are doing it in the industry really wanted you to hire them for it. The more complicated and mysterious something is, the more people think they can't do it themselves and want to outsource it to someone else. But what I really want to explain to you is mastering is not that complicated, it's not mysterious, and actually it's easier than mixing. Shrouding it in mystery actually backfired on the average mastering engineer because now we have all of these AI options available to people that are much cheaper than going and paying a person to do this. But today I'm going to show you a mastering chain that you could easily do on your own that sounds 10 times better than AI, doesn't take an advanced skill set to do, and can make your songs ready for distribution without going through these robots. Now, at the end of this video, if you still feel that you can't master your own music, I'm going to give you a ranking of what I think of each AI service that I've personally listened to. Now let's jump into the DAW and I'll show you my mastering chain. Today we're going to be mastering in Reaper. In the master that I'm about to show you, all real instruments were used. There were no VST or MIDI used in this mix at all whatsoever. These are the masters that I think AI has the most trouble with. I found that you can put a lot of pop or hip hop or anything electronic EDM into these mastering services, and they do a pretty good job. But when it comes to real drums and unique vocals, they fail hard. This is a song called Brutally Honest by Harlequin Jones. I did mix this song as well as master it. There will be a link in the description on where you can hear all of their songs and stream the music video for this particular song. The first thing that we're going to do is go to the loudest section of the song. You can always tell what that is by just looking at it. This is going to be the loudest section of the song. It's also the end. Usually the loudest section is the chorus or the end of the song. All right, so here's the mix with no mastering on it whatsoever. All right, so let's get this thing ready for streaming services. We are going to be working in our master bus here. I'm going to open this up for you. Now, you can go ahead and ignore this Restream plugin. This is how I'm getting the sound to OBS so you can hear it. You do not need this. All right, the first thing that we're going to add is a free plugin. Believe it or not, we're going to add this XComp by Reaper. This is a multi-band compressor. You can use any multi-band compressor. You can also grab this exact plugin for free, no matter what DAW you're using on the Reaper website, which is pretty cool. Today, we're going to be working mostly in presets. Why? Because I want you to be able to do this at home. We're going to go ahead and grab this Super Solid 2 preset. Now, before even listening to this thing, I've worked on it a million times. I want to pull this gain down, so we're right at the black level here. I know for a fact that it always compresses my highs a little bit too much. Now, what a multi-band compressor does is it's compressing frequencies, not the entire track. So each one of these represents frequencies that are going to be compressed. I don't want my highs too compressed. The worst thing that you can do when mastering a real drum set is over compress in your high end. It will make those cymbals sound awful. And that is why AI doesn't always work on real drums. I'm going to move up the mids a little bit. I'm going to bring down the lows. And then I'm going to listen and adjust to taste. Sounds great. There's a huge difference already. I'll play you a quick before and after. The kick drum's a little bit more punchy and things are sounding a little bit more crispy already. The very next thing that we're going to do is we're going to add this Infinity EQ by Slate Digital. And you guessed it, we're going to grab a preset. We're going to go here to mastering. We're going to go to balance. This is my favorite one. Does it work on every single mix without making adjustments? No, but it will help you get started. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to play it. And I know right now that they have boosted this highs too much. And again, this kind of gives you an insight to what AI is doing. They're going to use this same thing on everything. So I have control now. I can bring down my high end if I don't like it. Sounds great already. So here is before. It's just really making everything a little bit more balanced. Now, you can tell that my mix is pretty balanced already. So remember, mastering will not save your mix. My mix is pretty even. So this is just evening it out just a little bit more. All right, the next thing that I'm going to add is the virtual mix rack by Slate Digital. We're going to go down here and we are going to pick mix bus strip and we're going to decide what we want from this song. So I like this song to be punchy. It's got piano and drums and bass. It doesn't have a lot of big guitars or anything like that. So I really want that kick drum to hit you. I want that bass to hit you. And I want that low end of that piano to hit you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick punch. You can pick any one of these and play around and see what sounds good to you. Highly recommend just picking something and playing around with it. So I know off the bat, I am not a big fan of boosted high end, especially in this kind of music. So I know already I'm going to bring this down to 0. This is your equalizer here. So it's another equalizer. And then this will add some air in. So if you do find that you want a little bit more air in your mix, you can drop this in. Another great plugin is this air EQ. You can drop that in and that will boost the air in your master as well. So you'll see that a lot in AI. They say you want it airy. Those are some options for you. This is the best one right here. This is the FG Bomber. Basically what I do is I leave these settings alone. And if I want more low end or more punch, I just turn this up. I don't usually go over 3 because you don't want your low end to be muddy. So this is what that sounds like. And we're going to turn this up. We can also adjust this trimmer. So if we notice that at this point, everything's coming in a little hot before we want to hit with the limiter, we can turn this down just a little. That's already sounding so punchy and so warm. So that's all. That's all I did is I just put this thing on here. I turned the air down and I turned the bomber up and it's already sounding incredible. All right, the last step is the most important step, and that is where we're going to get this thing loud. All right, so we're going to add my favorite mastering plugin of all time, the FGX2 by Slate Digital. All right, I know this thing looks complicated, but it's really easy, I promise. I do not like any of the presets in this thing, so we are going to do this all by hand together, okay? So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to go over to this out ceiling, and we're going to make sure that it's at least -1 or -2. Why is this? Because this will allow us to get as loud as we want to without clipping at all. This is our ceiling. It will not exceed 0.02, negative 0.02. It will not exceed that. So that is important. This will not work if you do not do that. Okay? I like to leave it on clear. Why? Because my mixes are all the way that I want them to be, and I just want my master to reflect my mix, okay? So I actually leave the compression alone and the threshold and the attack and everything alone on rock music. I don't touch that at all. I leave it alone. We already have a compressor going on with the mix rack, and we don't need that anymore, okay? So this compressor is just going to do some light work. This right here, your GR width, it has to do with side compression and top compression. So what we're going to do is I like my mixes really, really wide. So in lieu of putting some stereo widener on the master, you can literally just turn this up as loud as you want, or as much as you want, not loud, but as much as you want. and it will make your mix compress on the sides differently than the top, and this will allow it to feel wider, okay? So over here is the fun stuff. We have low punch, we have detail. So low punch is going to turn your low end up, and your detail is going to bring out transients in your highs. So if you have like a really nice hi-hat and you want that up in the mix, or if you have a really bright vocal and you want that up in the mix, you can raise the detail. So I'm going to turn the low punch up just a little bit. Then we have our transients. So what this does is if you have any like pops and clicks or anything going on, it'll smooth the artifacts out if you put that to the left. And if you want to increase transient punch, so you have a lot of things going on, little sounds, and you want those to be registering further into the front, you can turn it to the right. Drive is saturation, so you turn up your saturation. And balance is balance. Do you want to prioritize your low end or do you want to prioritize your high end? That's all it is. So we're going to take a listen and I'm going to play with some stuff. One more thing before we start playing. Leave this gain alone until it sounds how you want it to sound, because volume can fool you, okay? So play with all of your settings before you crank it up. Cool? All right, here we go. I think that sounds fantastic. Let's make it loud. Here we go. My favorite thing about this plugin is that you can get pretty much as loud as you want without clipping or distorting, which is my favorite thing in the world. I know I just said that, but it's great for beginners because you can go as loud as you want without just completely destroying all the work you've done. So over here are some things to read. These are our LUFS. This has to do with perceived loudness. So we have the short term, which is how much the LUF is, right there when we hit play, and then we have integrated. This is the number you want to pay attention to. Integrated has to do with the entire track. So we want to work on that. Now you've probably been told that negative 14 LUFS is what you should aim for Spotify. That is not true. You can make a song as loud as you want it to. Some streaming services will turn it down, but your loop should be concentrated on the style of music in which you are doing. So if you have like an EDM track, you might want to be at negative 6 LUFS. And if you have a acoustic singer-songwriter, negative 14 LUFS might be perfect for that dynamic. So aim for what sounds good for the song. Usually for something like this, like rock music, I aim for about negative 10 to negative 12, somewhere in there. Now, if you master quieter than negative 14 LUFS, you will not sound loud enough on any streaming service. However, don't worry about what Spotify tells you to do. Do what makes the song sound good. So we're going to crank our makeup gain right here until it is the integrated LUFS. Now, one thing that I have noticed is when I render, it's a little bit different. So it's important to pay attention to the LUFS on the render more than in this plugin. If you are listening on headphones, this is about to get louder, so protect your ears and turn down your headphones if you need to. So we're hitting about negative 3 integrated LUFS, which I think is a perfect amount of loudness for this particular song. So now we are done. We mastered our track. Optimally, you want to go back to the beginning of the track and listen all the way through. You can do any kind of volume automation in the track if you want the beginning to be a little bit louder than your loudest part. But for the most part, you're done. And that took us such a quick amount of time. It took about as much time as me sitting there waiting for the AI to load my track and then for me to preview it and make adjustments. It took me about the same time to master this track myself. Now, I'm very familiar with this track. I did mix it. I did previously master it. So I do kind of know what's going on, but you're also familiar with your own tracks and you can use these same tools to do this and you can play with it a little bit longer until it starts to sound really good to you. OBS doesn't always pick up the highest quality of audio. So what you are about to hear is my rendered mix versus my rendered master. So here is my rendered. And here is my mastered render. So if you're still not feeling super confident in your mastering skills and you'd like to give one of these AI services a try, I'm going to give you my opinions on all of the popular AI mastering services that exist. I wanted to show you some audio samples. However, when I went ahead and recorded them with OBS, they didn't sound as good as they did when I was listening to them. And I didn't think it would be a fair shake to do that. Also, a lot of them want you to sign up for years or months and don't have a free trial where you can download. So I didn't want to invest all that money just to show you some samples. However, you can go to every single one of them and you can upload your song and you can A/B it yourself. You'll know your song better than anybody else. So go ahead and do that. You can go to the websites, upload your track, and they will give you a sample. So the first one on my list is probably the most popular, and that is Lander. I think Lander is 3 out of 5 stars for AI. It sounds pretty decent. Again, sounds really good with pop music, electronic music, things like that. Live instruments were a little bit tinny. Next is eMastered. eMastered did a pretty good job. Again, same problem with the real cymbals, but when you use electronic music, it actually didn't sound so bad. It was very good. I liked the low end of it. I liked that it didn't add too much airiness. I would also give eMastered a 3 out of 5. Next, we have Virtue by Slate Digital. I actually am an all access pass holder, so I was able to download a sample to hear. However, this one, in my opinion, was the worst out of all of them. It sounded very tinny, very empty, and I would go ahead and give this one a 1 out of 5. Out of all of them, I think it's my least favorite. The very last one is the new Waves mastering. This one definitely was my favorite, and I'm not just saying this because Piper and I are friends, which we are, but that has nothing to do with my opinion here. I think she did an amazing job with this particular AI, and I would say out of all of them, it is the closest to a real human being that you could possibly get. I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5 stars, and it doesn't get that last 0.5 because it's not a human being and you can't talk to it and ask it its opinion on your mix before putting it into the mastering system. I hope this video helped you demystify mastering and get the confidence that you need to do this on your own. If you can mix, you can master. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out to make more videos like this for you. And if you have any audio questions or anything that you'd like to see a personal video on, go ahead and leave it in the comments and I will do my best to help you out. And until next time, check out one of my videos on how to mix vocals.